Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. And this is a very special Sunday here in the Monster Den because we have the third Sunday of the month where we have our Council of Miniature Painters. Michael Paints Minis is already first, and we have one heck of a council here for you today. And it is a perfect topic to continue our series, our accidental series. We had Zambies talking about inspiration for your minis. We had Lila Mev talking about the process, and now we have Sam Lenz here to talk about improving, how to improve and what to do to improve. It is a perfect series. It was totally accidental, and I absolutely love it. We got people coming in. We got Bench Guy. We got Fine Line. We got Blades. We got Michael Paints Minis. Everybody's already here. Hobby-wise today, I didn't really do much, but we'll talk about that in the round robin here. PLB, Lion Creative. Otis is already making himself known. So we'll give him a treat to shut him up here for a little bit. Anywho, yeah, let's, I think without further ado, we're going to jump over to the Council of Miniature Painters, and let's get this started tonight. Super excited. Sam Lenz, Council of Miniature Painter. Let's go. Oh, hi.
Oh.
All right, we got a raid. We got a raid already coming in from Quantum Reveries. Welcome in, Quantum. And here we are at the Council of Miniature Painters. So excited about this discussion. We have our normal council members, but our special guest today is Sam, the one, the only Sam Lenz, which I've gotten the pleasure to meet many times since he is another Wisconsin native. So even some of the smaller cons, I've gotten a chance to talk a little bit with Sam. So incredibly talented painter, and we're happy to have him on. So welcome in, Sam. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. So excited.
Yes, greetings, council members. Hello, chat. I am not the only Sam Lenz. The one and only. There's another person even within my own family tree named Sam Lenz, and they are younger than me. But I am doing my best to overshadow them, even beyond my amount of days.
Well, in the mini painting community, you are the one and only to us, so...
Yeah, I appreciate that.
We got Runic Raccoon coming in with a raid already. Everybody's jumping in here. We got our council members here, Painterly Git, Falling Freely, and Blades, and Quantum is in the audience. Oh my goodness, another one. Unhinged Feral is coming in with a raid. My goodness. We got raids coming in.
All sides.
Yes, we're being hit on all sides here. So Runic Raccoon, thank you so much. We're just getting started with our council tonight. We still got a lot of council members who haven't shown up yet. We don't have Black Skull. I know Big Dig Batty was gonna come in for the council as well. Kickstand, Runic, how you doing? Runic has everybody ready. I'll drop in Discord for a little bit, and it's awesome. We got Katie Lou Who, Jacoya Minis. Boy, my goodness. We're getting chaotic painting. My goodness. All right, so everybody's here. Wapple can't make it. Okay, James Wapple cannot make it to the council tonight, but that's okay. He's always here in spirit. He is an amazing painter as well. So anyhow, why don't we go ahead and get started with our round robin? And as always, we're going to start with our special guest, Sam. What have you been hobbying here in the last week, 2 weeks, month, however long you want to go back? What have you been working on?
And there are those moments, I think, within your every year's hobby path when the projects kind of swell and you have 5 6 things going, and then you'll have this magical moment where you finish all those things off in similar succession. But yeah, I have 5 or 6 projects going right now. um I'll show. Okay, what I was painting on today is this classic old Warhammer model, Azhag. Might be my Wisconsin accent taking over. Slaughterer, this old orc character. Yeah, I'm not gonna get the head on, but highly detailed footage here. But yeah, I'm going turquoise on the worm that he's riding on. Yeah, I have this Skaven piece which I'd like to talk about on the subject of kind of forcing yourself to improve. Prepped up a classical orc last night, and I need like 20 space wolves for some reason too, so I just got a bunch of those. And all of these things are in front of me to distract me during this stream. Also, I got a copy of Sunrod. That's my time.
All right. Wow. And I noticed no accent whatsoever. None. Just saying.
Man,
I don't think Freely would recognize it either.
Nope.
Nope. Oh. I didn't realize how much my wife and I said "ope" until Charlie Barron started joking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
man,
that's awesome.
Or no, as well.
Or no. Yeah, that's another good one.
They know that. That's part of asking a question, is that the response is yes or no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. All right, so Painterly Git, you are next. What have you been working on, my friend?
Well, I haven't had as much hobby time as I normally do because I switched over to that new job not too long ago, and I was doing some calling work. But I managed to finish the project for Heavy T, which was a 75 millimeter Gunslinger's Bells miniature, so a female gunfighter. I got that painted for him. I got together a Rascal and Git proxy stand-in for a Gloomspite Gits. I have a baseball cap wearing goblin riding a black squig for a loon boss, and I am starting to paint some orange and pink Tyranids.
Oh, sounds like you got a lot going on
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, we'll move on to Falling Freely. What are you working on? That the last piece I saw you post with the stars and the I don't know if that was a demon or whatever with the stars, and it was absolutely amazing. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the last mini that I finished, was that space demon, which I think is my best mini to date. I was really proud of that one.
So you got a Resin Beast piece for next year already? Is that what you're saying, or who made it?
Yeah, I mean, as long as Loot Studios is a sponsor again, I think I'll enter it.
Wow. Boy, having your Resin Beast piece ready that far in advance, that's something we all should strive for, right?
Yeah, but I'll bring it to Dragonfall for people to look at too, because it was definitely hard to take pictures of, so the pictures don't really do it justice. But if you're able to come to Dragonfall and see it in person,
oh yeah, I'll be down at Dragonfall.
Nice.
Awesome.
Other than that one, been trying to catch up on a couple drawing commissions. I finished one today, which felt really good. And then I don't know what my next mini project is going to be. I want to enter Roman Lapot's, that little space guy that he made.
Oh,
I forget what the competition is called. But it's not till like early next year that the judging is happening. But I think that would be like a fun little project to work on. So I gotta print out a couple space guys and think it's something.
Yeah, I've seen that mini, thinking, hey, I know it was Romans, but I didn't know where to get it or how to get it or any of that kind of stuff. But it does
You
look
can
like
get
a
it on
cool little mini.
his Etsy. I think he has both the STLs and you can buy printed as well.
Oh, that's
No, Oliver Spaith's Etsy,
Yeah.
okay.
but he's got it like linked. I think Roman has it linked in his profiles and stuff.
Mhm.
Such a neat, simple. It's such a simple little mini. Just
Yeah.
it always pop whenever I see one on Instagram or see one posted of any of that series. I think he's done a whole bunch of them. It's just they're so simple and so neat and tiny. You know, you can go crazy with the colors too because you could picture it on. You know, think of No Man's Sky, the game. You know, where you've got all those colors, those planets with all those different colors, and that's what comes to mind when I see those little miniatures. Yeah, thanks for. I gotta put a note down about that. Neat.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I get that? Can I get that link pinned? It's for the dates that Sam is going to be teaching in Canada.
Oh, that's
Okay.
right. We can pin now.
Yes, I got it.
Ow.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Done.
Hold on a second. There we go. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get my volume sorted out. I just got blasted in the ear by that. Greedy Raven, thank you. All right, we're going to move on. Let's see, who else is here? Blades, you are next. What you got working on? I got to go back to Runic. Don't let me forget you, Runic.
Well, I haven't been doing a lot of painting lately, but I did finish up the high roller set from Reaper. I painted the last 3 of the set, and on stream it usually takes me 2 or 3 streams to paint one mini, so that took up the last 9 streams or so, but I finally got that set done. And today I started working on some orcs that I started painting 10 years ago at the beginning of my journey. So some of them are unprimed, but I kind of threw some paint on them like 10 years ago before I knew about primer. I painted one of them blue. So today I went back over it with the green and the different gradients and stuff like that. And I could really see how far I came from 10 years ago to today. So with the same mini. So
there's your first tip of being a better miniature painter. Remember your primer.
Yes. Even now, sometimes I forget to prime, but I have come a long way.
I've had a couple of gray, where I've 3D printed a couple with a darker gray resin and forgot that they weren't primed, or even a black resin. It's like, I didn't prime that. I forgot.
Yes. Why isn't this paint sticky?
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, welcome in, Blades. Thank you for that. We'll move to Quantum Reveries. Quantum, thank you for that raid. What were you working on today?
Why, Ed, I was working on a Monty.
A Monty? Awesome.
Yeah, if you remember from the previous, what was it? The Adepticon before last, you gave me a couple of 3D printed Montys, and I decided that I needed to get some of these gifted minis painted up. So I took the larger Monty and finished him up today.
Awesome.
And
great.
Before that, I was how do you say? I'd been on a hiatus for a while, of course. But before the Monty, I had gone through and painted up a Blades and Cooper mini that she had gifted me, or that Blades 81 had gifted me, and I think that one came out rather well. That's up on my Instagram page, and a couple of Poke tools from Git. Now that I've got that finished up, I'm going back to a mini that I have kind of a special attachment to, and that would be Reaper Mini's Fulham Bar Dwarf Warrior. And it turns out that this was the very first Reaper miniature that I'd ever purchased. Way back in like about 2012, 2013, when Reaper first came out with their Bones Kickstarter. and I had decided to go down to the hobby shop and pick up like one of their Bones miniatures to see what it was like, because I was interested in getting into the Kickstarter. And this little dwarf happened to be like one of the dozen that Reaper had released commercially before their Kickstarter. I started painting it way back when, and I didn't have the right tools or anything like that, and I hated it. And so I stripped it clean, and I was planning to repaint it, and then never did.
Well, that's
And
cool.
so-
Going back to one of your first minis, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, kind of the first mini. So,
Yeah, the first
and the
mini.
funny thing is that now that I'm doing the second painting, and by the way, they do say you're supposed to keep like your first mini that you painted so that you can go back and compare it. The Fulham Bar doesn't count because he never got finished, and I stripped the paint off him before I even finished him. So
that is a good tip. Keep your first mini. This is my first mini. I've kept him around. Reaper metal miniature. He's lost his scepter, and a lot of the paint is chipped off, but you still got it. You can still see how far you've gone. And going back and painting again. I should get another one and paint it again. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah. So
and the Pokey Tool. You talked about Pokey Tools. Reaper puts out the thing called the Pokey Tool. I've got one right here with the dragon head. They have a lot of different ones of these, and they are inexpensive, and they make great palette cleansers as far as something easy and quick to paint, and they make great giveaways too if you want to give something to a family member or whatever. It's a really fast paint, really great palette cleanser. You can usually do them in just about any color scheme you can imagine. And they're a lot of fun.
One problem with painting your Pokey Tool: if you do too good a job, you won't want to use it.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. I have an old metal Pokey Tool from Reaper too. This is a skeleton. Never painted it though. But yeah, you won't want to use it. You'd have to put a bunch of layers of varnish on it to use those. All right, cool, excellent. Well, thank you, Quanda.
That's what I've been doing.
And we'll move on to Runic Raccoon. Thank you for that raid. And welcome in, everybody. We're just doing our round robin on what everybody's working on before our main topic. So we're going to go to Runic and find out what Runic is.
Oh, hi. You guys can hear me okay, I'm assuming?
Absolutely.
Yep, loud and clear.
Testing. I'm working on my my kill team proxies for the new Ravengers. I can actually, let's see, I'm gonna share my screen. You got this. I can do this because I feel like this would just be easier. So I got some rat boys that I'm doing, and I'm trying to do them to what is it, Craft World Studio style, where it's like outrageously over the top with its saturation.
Yes.
I would say it's very very heavily inspired by that, with a very heavy dose of Falling Freely style. So I'm trying to emulate all my friends.
More color.
Yeah, like using like magentas and violets and like blues to change colors instead of white and black in any capacity. It's really weird, but it's also really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just trying to experiment, learn a little bit of new color swatches, and make every one of them unique. So they're my Ratvengers. Yeah.
Wow. What are you using to get those bright colors? Are you using like the Rogue Hobby set from Monument? Or using fluorescence?
I am using primarily Chimera paints.
Oh, chimeras. Oh, no, yeah, they're so saturated. Yeah, nice.
But I've been trying to work my way into mixing colors as well, instead of just using right out of the bottle. And I find that a lot of times I used to just mix a mixed color with a mixed color, but using like, say, magenta as a highlight to like build it up, and like their yellows and stuff. It's just so heavily pigmented that it's really easy to make things stupid bright.
Yeah, and if you put white underneath it, it even does more. So it really pops them. That's nice. Excellent, excellent. Let's see, who else do we got here in the council? I think that's
Also, I have
everybody.
my Poke tools as well, in case anybody wants to, continue talking about Poke tools.
Those are great. I hate having to use them, but they're fun. They're great to have around. But anyway, let's see. I think that just leaves me and Otis. Otis is just treats. That's all he's about. Treats.
Working on treats. Navi's the same way.
Yep. That's all. He's very treat driven. I've been working on pieces for ReaperCon, so I'm going to ReaperCon the end of next month. So I was working on the Fallout girl from Loot Studios, Fallout inspired miniature from Loot Studios. I still have more work to do on this, but I've been procrastinating at it heavily here last few days. So hopefully Sam can turn that around with our discussion today, and then with our main topic. And then of course I've been working on the Sea Tyrant from Reaper. I found out this is a fairly new model. It's on their main page now, listed as a new box set. I must have ordered it right before it became on their main page. So I'm working on this piece also for ReaperCon. I think those are the only two I'm going to take to ReaperCon. And of course, I finished the bust from the Lion Creative, who created this wonderful bust. And it was a lot of fun to paint. And you can get that. If you're interested in looking at this, it's ! Lion. Go out and check it out on Lion's website. It's a fantastic bust, and I really like painting busts every so often because I don't know, I feel like it with more surface area and more everything, it helps you really practice, some skills. And that's I like that. Busts seem to be a really good palette just for working on stuff, and then you can translate that to some smaller minis. At least that's what I try to do, is translate it. Anyway, we got people in chat here. I think that's it for all of our people who are in the council. Thank you all so much for telling us what you were working on. And I'm just going to take a moment here to welcome everybody into the Monster Den for this special Sunday edition of the Council of Miniature Painters with our featured guest, Sam Lenz. And we're going to be talking about miniature painting improvement, which is a perfect topic that goes along with our last two guests, Lila and oh my goodness, and Zambies. Yep, and Zambies, and that was just the perfect topic to go right along with that series. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy it, and thank you all for being here. So why don't we jump in to our topic? Sam Lenz, the wonderful painter, is going to be talking about miniature painting improvement. So where do you want to start, Sam?
Yes. Okay. Let me set the table on this. First, I think it falls into some different categories. Like, you can use it very generally, like the word contrast, but you know that contrast takes many forms. So I would say the same about improvement. Just becoming a better artist, it involves a mental involvement. It involves the fundamental carry through of these exercises, and it involves consistency. To quickly lay out like a few ingredients towards improvement. And what gave me this idea when I was asked to be on this show is, at the time, I was still not done with it. I took a piece, and I wanted to force some improvement. And my theory was, if I slow down each step of the process as much as I can, by sinking more time into something, it will be better. That was the theory there. So a lot of the things we're going to talk about improving, this is under the assumption you're already motivated to paint. I want to put that in kind of a separate category. I'm sure we'll end up, it's like impossible not to mention motivation, but a lot of this is assuming that you have wrapped your life around painting in some way and have carved out time, etc. You know? So, let us
Fair enough.
begin.
All right.
Talk about the mental side. And I think people sometimes beat themselves up for a lack of progress, and that being there is not an output of completed works, and that's the only sign of progress. I get that. If you never finish anything at all, there's your problem right there. However, some students come to me and say, "Didn't get shit done this whole month, but here's this vision board I made of like color scheme ideas and yada yada." You know, that is work right there. What I want to say is part of the work of improving is taking in art, finding inspiration, taking time to think about what you are seeing, you know, still life studies, etc. Any level of involvement, going on a photo hunt and looking closer at the earth you're trying to recreate. I think that is progress towards improvement. You can't discount the importance of the mental muscle. That's often the challenge that I think makes the difference between good work and the best work is the challenge of imagination. You could see something and say, I wouldn't paint it, you know, or I could paint it this way, but I would never think of that. I said a lot of things. How's everybody doing?
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's you know, there's a lot more to improvement than just painting. Reading books. I know I picked up that, what is it, that light and shadow book a lot of people have used, and I you know, that's great reading material. Yeah, it's a really good point to make it that it's more than just painting. You can, you know, look at inspiration, color palettes, you know, cutting Facebook, going out on Facebook, looking at inspiration and putting those into a OneNote notepad or something. You know, all those things count, right?
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, you want to feed that, like just to look at beautiful colors. Like, I'm staring past my screen at this like collage of posters and artwork I have. You know, it's like each piece is kind of a study in color theory. Yeah, so maintaining like a full tank on that mental side is part of improvement. You know, like you have to engage with the learning, and then the other part, the physical part of it, is carrying it through. I can describe how to do a flip, how to do a backflip. I cannot do a backflip. If I want to, I need to practice jumping first. There is, you know, earlier we were talking about that first miniature. I like that everyone's having this look back, and I remind myself of that a lot. I have some of my first models I painted when I was just in the single digits of of like 8 or something. But yeah,
Great.
you must now walk the trail. That is the physical side of it, and I guess that feeds into the consistency. But before we get on to that, I feel like there are, you can look at miniature painting, and it's such a multifaceted art form. And what I admire about it, when I see something that I think is the best, it is the kind of hits all the categories. You have a capable Imagineer, capable builder, technical artist, and I see that there are different houses of learning that you spend time in. You spend time, go through like a phase, like many artists work in series. You know, this is my black and white series or whatever, but all of those different areas of information in miniature painting, that that is an area worth spending time on and not thinking that you're going to have a complete picture after just doing it once. It's the carrying out of those exercises and those happy accidents that you find that make things better and better for yourself.
Yeah, I guess that's something that frustrates me sometimes with trying to improve, is that you just said it, happy accidents. I think all the best pieces I've ever painted have been really close to that happy accident line, and then I can't recreate it. I can't do it again.
Yeah.
And then, and then it's like, oh, lightning struck on this particular piece, and I can't make it strike again.
You'll get past that. I've been there. And it gets to a point where you're like, I can do that again. I still don't have the willpower to just spray paint a model black after finishing it, but there are times when I think something's done and I'm like, I don't like the sword. I'm going to do a different version of a power weapon on it. And not being too precious about it and painting over it. I don't know, like, I feel a lot of the advice that I have is from my perspective, and I'm a psycho about this. So other people may have more limited amounts of time. I get it, but I'm here to say the way that I feel about things. And
on the opposite end of that equation, a happy little accident, you have trouble recreating it. I've also had happy accidents where I get stuck in the rut of wanting to repeat too often. You find the perfect color combination. For me, it was jade green, dark jade green, and jade green with magenta. Beautiful combination, looks awesome. You start to use it over and over again because, oh, this is a great color combination, and I figured out how to highlight it. I know how to do all this. Sometimes I think you get caught the other way too, and use it as a crutch.
It's funny because it's like you only grow when you're uncomfortable. So you want to say like, well, you're good at it. Do the other thing. I always have opposing advice. Like, I hear you say that, and I'm like, I see how a person could be stuck. On the other shoulder, though, I think of something like the Zorn palette, or I think of Ben Comet's work, where somebody like even Lila was saying in that last previous stream, like, she has curated a range of colors that she thinks in. And there's like having your palette of, like, I don't know, there is kind of some benefit and growth that happens within limits, and then the other side of me says forget about the limits. Every path is individual, but like that, yeah, I see, like, spending time on a pleasing color combination, but every time you work that, you may be like housing it around some other colors, or like trying to use it in a different compositional way. All theories.
Right.
But yeah, like I heard the word wet blending years ago, and I was like, okay, I think I know what that means. I remember taking like a purple tone and a frosty blue to a troll and just seeing, this was like the happiest accident, probably the best moment of my entire life. Out in the heated garage, learning to wet blend. Yeah, it just came together, that was like this happy accident, and I could see that there was something to the, like, this looks nice, the colors are gradating, but this color's traveled too far. There's something to the portion control and the amount of this more dominant color that I add to these lighter colors, and yeah, just began repeating and finessing that for maybe 20 years now.
Right.
Well, Ed, you mentioned last council about how, I think, what was it, you bumped into Marco and he was like, you were showing him something and trying to get critique, and he was like, talking about colors, and you were like, well, I wanted to use these colors, but I feel like they weren't complementary. And he was like, no, use the colors you want.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's all theory, right? Whatever works for you works for you. That's why it's so fun and subjective. But that's also where it becomes very hard because everybody has a different interpretation, and sometimes people want to be like, mine's better, or yours is better, or now this year this one's better. Now next year this one's better. It's the whole slap chop versus tabletop standard versus what is it, heavy metal versus this. It's everybody has their own style. I think the journey is the most fun though. That's what it is. It's just kind of self-discovery and sharing with others.
Yeah, you brought up that what Marco said to me. I actually put it on I printed it out and put it up above me here, so I sit there and look at it and say, what color do you want it to be? You know, because I was really hung up on color theory for a long time. I thought there were certain colors that went together, and it wasn't, you know, there's harmonious colors different than color theory, but I was really hung up on that for a while. And he just said to me, what color do you like? And it kind of changed my whole brain around color, and I stopped looking at the darn color wheel every time I was painting a miniature.
It's good to know those things. It's good to make informed decisions and know what you're leaving off the table intentionally.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's. Yeah, you can break things into like a full rainbow, or you can go with a simple 3-color combination, split the model up. It's really funny the way that like competitions and creative expression, you know, the way they collide in miniature painting awards. It's awesome, but it is like a funny thing. I feel like they had tournaments, and then like, we should have a tournament for painting, and you know, art, it's so subjective, and
very
like Runic was saying, what people like changes. Styles of music change, styles of painting come in and out of phase, you know. Now metallic metal was new, and now cast shadows are hot. Not a bad thing. I think that's the waves of the Renaissance, but it's just seeing that change is fun.
I'm just waiting until ironically bad painting comes into style, and then I can say, hey, I'm doing it on purpose.
I love the silly ones though, man. I like a good funny piece.
Yeah, those get a lot of talk at in the Golden Demon cases. They never win anything, but they always get a lot of talk, and sometimes I think people are doing, you know, they're doing it for the discussion. They're not expecting to win, but it's you know, like the strawberry shortcake night, and you know, they're awesome. It's so creative and so cool, and it's like people put tons of time into that. It's amazing.
Make a memory.
A lot of people. Yeah, exactly. You have two choices when you do a competition. You make the thing that you want to be the best, or you make the thing that wants to be the most remembered. You can sometimes get both. So, like, what was the one thing that really stood out? The painting the model on a sprue, not even taking off the sprue. That was a thing. Obviously, we had the cupcake thing. Joe MN, he did a thing for Creature Caster this year. That was really cool. He like painted like almost like graffiti modern art on his piece. I can't remember what it was, the model, but it was such a unique thing that I'd never seen anybody do, and it really turned heads.
Hell yeah.
I'll take a little break here to welcome everybody to the Council of Miniature Painters. Sam Lenz is our guest tonight, talking about miniature painting improvement. And we got a bunch of people here. Amber, how you doing? Furious Vorkon says, ask Sam Lenz what is his favorite thing to paint and why are they orcs?
Yeah. I mean, that's it all, man. They've just always been my faction. That's yeah, I could give a silly answer, a serious answer. And it's
I think
funny, I was just
I-
prepping up like this classical orc the other day. They come with a lot of freedom, and they don't have to be just green. And they can be sci-fi and fantasy, and they're always just kind of barbarians at the gate, and they can be weathered or they can be detailed, and they just look cool.
I think a lot of people started out with orcs or grots or something. As a beginner miniature painter, I thought the green skin tone, and I know you said they don't have to be green, but the green skin tone with yellow green and that workup seemed to be the one that made the most sense to me early on as a miniature painter. And I could make it look halfway decent. So that's and I don't know. I think it's a good place. It was a good place for my brain to start with miniature painting was green skin. I don't know why.
I learned it the same way. Like, add yellow to the green. I learned a lot of the basics on the orcs. I mean, green is the best color too, so happy with that. Green.
I'm sure Furious Vorkon would agree with that. He's always telling me to paint more green.
I love it.
So what else? What?
Yeah. The other one I wanted to talk about was consistency, and that's just being able to go the distance and not getting. It's easy to make a bold statement before you leave on a quest, but the next 10 to 30 days, however long your quest takes, that's the time you're alone. You need to really enjoy that time. That's the most time. You're gonna go out and make this creation, come back and show it to everybody, but you really have to love the process so you are consistently returning to the desk. There's a lot of ways you can set things up so the desk, the area draws you in. Should make it as a bit of a painting sanctuary. But yeah, man, I'll often say you try something once, that's your first attempt. Teaching a class and showing people something for the first time. Now when you leave, I want you to do it 9 more times. So you have at least 10 tries under your belt. And it should be, that last one should be 9 times better than the first. At least by a little bit. But that I hope I'm making my point. I'm making this long enough to really drive in the consistency and how you need to just continue down the road.
Coming back to the desk. That's a really great point, and that's the reason I started streaming. Not because I was a great painter. It's because I knew it would force me to sit down at my desk 3 times a week, or I think at the beginning it was 2 times a week, and take that time to paint. And I've said it many times, I've given up on a lot of hobbies before. I don't know if I would have gone as far with this hobby out having that regular time to sit down. And even if you don't want to be a streamer, follow a streamer schedule, sit down at the same time, or anything, just to keep you coming back to your desk.
Yeah, a painting buddy of any kind. If it's a streamer, even to hang out on their schedule. But yeah, like trying to stay involved and stay familiar. Every person is going to be different, but again, what I'm saying is how I feel. I think it's better I'd rather paint, let's say 1 hour a day all week instead of 7 hours every 7 days. I feel like I'd be taking too much time away and trying to refamiliarize myself. Whereas if I'm just riding the bike every day, I'm much more familiar with it. Yeah, that's for me.
Even when I take a short vacation or something, I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm starting over a little bit. Gone for a couple weeks, and I forgot how to do. Quantum, you said you want to say something?
It's the airplane analogy. If you're flying an airplane and constantly landing and taking a break and then flying back up, it's going to take a lot more work than getting up in an airplane and just cruising at altitude.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I always say that you don't need landing gear to land a plane. You need landing gear to land the plane again, which is not relevant to this conversation at all.
It comes up a lot.
That's fun. What does everybody else do? What does everybody else do in the council to keep coming back to your desk on a regular basis? You guys struggle with that? Do you have something that helps you do that?
I just like to paint minis, so that's what keeps me coming back. I just wanted to sit down and slap some pigment on some little plastic tubes and see how they turn out.
Yeah, community is the thing that'll get you to be consistent about painting too. If you're painting alone, you're not going to have that feedback from others. But if you're painting together and showing off what you're painting and exchanging ideas with others, that'll continue to encourage you to continue painting.
I know a lot of people they have to set up to paint, but for a long time I operated out of this I think it's a tackle box or toolbox of some kind. It's big tall rectangle and it's full of drawers, and I just fold down the front hatch. I pull the drawers out and all my paints are in there. The upper bin has my projects and my wet palette. Like, it can be set up very quickly. So even just having something you can easily access it can be a problem for some people. It was for me at a point, and that's how I got around it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've talked to a couple people at my local game store that basically say that, well, I don't really have a space and I gotta bring things out to the dining room table, and then it makes a mess, and then my wife doesn't like it or whatever, and it does help to have a space, but there are ways around it. Like you said, something that you can.
It's that ease of access. You hang the guitar up on the wall, so you'll take it off and play it every day. It's the more steps you put between yourself and something, the less likely you are to do it.
Yeah, good point. Michael Paints Mini says, I run a paint club. That keeps me motivated because I got buddies waiting for me, and it keeps me challenging me to progress. I've also got Discord buddies for the days that aren't paint club days. I have a dedicated space. At first it was one workstation, then it grew that area. Yeah, if you saw Black Skull's Instagram post a couple weeks ago, it looked like the scene from Spaceballs at the beginning with the ship going by, and it never seemed to end, and he was going and going and going and going.
I love that feeling though, man. And it's a beautiful mess. You create that storm of chaos in your studio, and then it all kind of wraps up and repeats itself.
The perfect disaster.
Yeah. It's a good feeling, man. It doesn't, like, some people they look at it and it might overwhelm them, but to me I see it as creative energy.
Toady Odie says, Toady Odie says, I have a large flat toolbox that I can slap on the table and be ready to paint.
Nice travel kit.
Yep.
And it's a good workout.
Mm-hmm.
Paint's heavy. I was gonna say, a lot of times, I think, at least for me and my exposure to a lot of people, most of the time to get to the desk and kind of do what you're doing is you need to have some purpose and some exposure to it, and some inspiration. So like for purpose, it's like, oh, I gotta do this because of a competition, or I want to do this because I want to learn this thing, or I did this because I spent way too much money on these giant boxes of paint again at this convention that I have had in the closet forever. The pile of opportunity keeps growing, and the community kind of keeps you inspired. Especially for me, like a lot of times, I think making a Discord server, for example, is a really big one, or going on to Instagram and seeing everybody's work, because I find for me, it's like, I don't think anymore, oh my gosh, I can never do that. It's like, man, I can't believe they did that. I wonder if I can do something like that, or wow, I wonder how I could make my own version of that. And I think coming back to that consistently and having that kind of muscle memory to be inspired and be motivated and have your friends kind of like interact with, that's kind of what keeps me going to the desk. It's otherwise, like, one of those factors go away, it's like, no, you know, I'm not really feeling today. I'm gonna go touch grass, and we don't want to do that too much.
Sure. I know. I just took a fairly long vacation here last month, and I took along something very simple just to keep painting. I took along a white and a black gouache from Liquitex just to do value sketching. And that's all I needed. I had a palette, I had a brush, I had 2 paints, and I had a little case full of few models, and just did a bunch of value sketching. And that was both something I don't do a lot, value sketching, so I wanted to kind of practice it. And it was simple to take with you. Super simple. I mean, 2 paints, you can't go wrong with that. You don't have to carry a whole bunch of case full of paints around to do something as simple as a value sketch. So
yeah, that's good exercise too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did so on this Skaven piece where I tried to slow myself down and make every bit of the process. You guys like to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ruby. All right. So approaching this piece, I had a paint jam weekend lined up with some friends to kick it off. Speaking of having some company to keep you motivated, so I built this piece up, and first put it under different light sources and took pictures of it with this tablet that I just got. And yeah, I tried like different colored lights, different directional lights, until I saw a light situation that I enjoyed. Then I sketched that onto the piece. And this was like usually I just do a zenithal overspray, and I make things look nice, but like took at a deeper level. I had like 4 different ray tones to get everything sorted out, and so I was happy with that. I took pictures of my tablet again and painted over it digitally, which I never do. Just trying to like stop myself and make myself think longer about each thing that I'm doing. And yeah, it kind of is wearing on my patience as well. Like, I also brought a smaller tabletop model along to paint when I knew that I'd want to rush ahead. I had this Trench Crusade model to work on. But yeah, it was really interesting painting over something digitally and being able to just press the back button, and erase a choice. Also hard, like, finding the exact color. So like, either way, it was arming me with some information and giving me more thought into the choices that I was making. And once I finally started painting over it with this really intense, basically like a value sketch, but like a black and white drawing of the piece on top of it, and covering every bit of that gray, but following it with color, it's just, I don't know, it's not done yet, but it's really something different. I'm really excited about it. But yeah, that's how I put the brakes on myself to force some improvement. And yeah, it definitely got me thinking a lot more deeply. But every little surface, you can go into autopilot sometimes, so it helps to break out of that.
So I heard you say you did some painting digitally. like describe that process. Like what are you using, and taking a photo of the model, or
Yeah, I've got I got this tablet and just snapped a photo with it, and it came with a little stylus pen. Like a crappy little illustration program in it, but it's enough. We have a color wheel, and you can turn the opacity down, so I can still see through what I'm laying on top of the model. So that value sketch still shows up.
Oh, I've done that too. Where I'll take my tablet, I'll take a picture and turn it black and white, so that I've got like the highlights and that sort of highlights and shadows and that sort of thing, and then kind of like one of Ed's value sketches, and then going and putting a wash over it. I digitally put a transparent layer of the color that I want, get kind of an idea of where I want to go with the whole color composition.
Yeah, wave of the future.
I've
Never
done
tried
a couple times too, just because I have more background as a 2D artist, and like I don't know, I could think better that way sometimes. So I did that for that Sphinx piece I did for Recipes 2 years ago, because I was really struggling with what colors I wanted to use with it. So bringing it in digitally first was really helpful for me too.
Yeah, it's funny, like a lot of what we're doing when you start, like, okay, how do I make this better? Start taking more and more examples from fine art and from photography, just all flat. There's that term, the golden angle, out there. You want every view of the model to look nice, but there is that final resting position, that intended view, and you have to, when you're starting to like analyze these different materials, ask yourself if this is a light reflective or absorbent material, and where this falls in between those two qualities. It becomes more about this photographic or maybe even cinematic presentation, and leaning on that to really pull things further. Yeah, it's interesting. Like most of what we do it's based on two-dimensional concepts, and you're wrapping it around a three-dimensional surface to enhance the volume of the figure. There isn't like very much in miniature painting that isn't taken from canvas painting. There are things, of course, but yeah, I would suggest, like, if you really want to improve, starting to analyze things in that way, because you're going to need to find a final resting point for the reflective positions of non-metallic metal, for example.
Yeah, I worked at a cookware company for a while. We had pictures in our conference rooms of cookware with all the metal and how it would reflect light from all the studio photography they did. And I got to the point where I was ignoring meeting. I was ignoring the meeting topics, staring at the pictures, going, "Oh yeah, that's that window in that office," or "That's that door," and that's the light on the ceiling. I can see it because I knew where the photos were being taken, and I could picture in my mind what was being reflected off of those surfaces, and trying to translate that into reflections on miniatures and stuff. So it's like you can get, and early on during my miniature painting, I'd go to like Kohl's with my wife, and she'd be busy, trying on stuff, and I'm just sitting there. I'm just looking around. Oh yeah, that's how that fabric looks. Oh yeah, that's how that looks. And it's really funny how you can start to, it kind of clicks. Some things kind of click, and you look at different fabric types. You look at different, leather versus a silky or a cotton, and you can see the same light reflecting off of many things at the same time. And it's interesting. I like it.
Yeah, that's one of the examples I like to show to people. Is I have this picture of a sword and it's partially drawn out of a leather sheath. I'm like, look at this light reflective material versus the absorbent leather sheath. They're under the same direct light source, and look at how they're behaving. That power of observation, like asking yourself what you're seeing, sometimes asking yourself why you're drawn to something, or why a nice day looks nice to you. What about this like scene is pleasing to me. And it's also funny you talk about just staring at a t-shirt. Like a yellow shirt in a cold light situation, you can still, like we were talking about color theory earlier, and just I thought certain colors belonged to certain ones, and it's like, yeah, kind of, but like your cold can be a color as warm, that people refer to as you have a cold red, and that's something I have noticed looking out at the world when you're out on a sunny day and you see this blue shadow, just this hard line of this tree cutting through this golden yellow meadow. Beautiful scene. But yeah, that observation, that temperature difference.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of us that are stuck in the city like myself, which I would love to go see some more meadows, I find myself staring at car rims, like hubcaps, shiny bumpers, and I don't know why. It's good. It keeps my eyes on the road, but like I'm always like, how the heck is it that this hub of this tractor trailer truck, the bottom of it's bright and the top of it's brown, reflecting off the gray. Oh, it's inverted. Okay, cool. How would I do that? And then I'm like, oh wait, the light screen. I better get going. I don't know if anybody else has that issue where you just kind of zone out and quantify how you could duplicate that.
I'm always asking, how could I paint that when I look at something? And it's not impossible. You wouldn't see it.
Yeah, it's really, there's a lot of validation when you listen to these conversations, and I know, there are so many great painters out there, and yet when you talk to them, talk to all the painters, you all have the same ideas and the same thoughts, and but sometimes I just you just sit there and you just doubt, you doubt. But having a conversation like this, it's like there's a validation there that, hey, I am thinking about these things right. I am doing this right, and I think that gives you the boost sometimes that you need to keep moving forward and to keep improving as well.
I mean, that works unless we're all evil. And
I'm not
you
evil,
might be following bad advice.
Oh man, I don't. This community is so good and so supportive,
Yeah.
and it is an incredible place to have started a hobby. I've had a lot of hobbies in the past and never had a community like the miniature painting community. And it's there's always somebody willing to help. I heard it wasn't that way like 30-40 years ago. It was very secretive. At least that's what I heard, but I wasn't a miniature painter back then, so I don't know. But if that's the case, it certainly has changed a lot since the internet.
Yeah, it's the information age. I think that's changed things. It is kind of a funny thing in that, like, you have painting competitions, and then you have something like racing. And if somebody, if a car wins a race, there's not a public demand that the people who made that car tell how they made the car that beat all the other cars. In miniature painting, there's almost this extreme, like, people are so giving and sharing. There's almost this expectation that, like, hey man, you won that Slayer sword like a month ago, where's our fucking information?
Yeah. Hack and slash Hack and Slash Mini says, it's why I dislike the notion that college is a waste of time and money. I found so many subject areas that were seemingly unrelated to art, pivotal to my ability to analyze and find inspiration for art.
Mhm.
Yeah. Michael Paints Minis follows up that I completely agree. With Hack and Slash, while I didn't get a degree, I did get over 150 hours of experience that opened my eyes to many new ways to look at the world.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Welcome in, Dig. So we're having our conversation on miniature painting improvement. Already learned a whole bunch of exciting things. And I personally, I think the most important thing that I've personally learned so far is that we're all thinking the same, but you don't realize it until you start talking to people about it. And to talk with people about improvement and how you're looking at something or how you're viewing something or colors and all that kind of stuff. That's important. It's key. You got to have that community around you, and ask questions and watch videos and read books and all those kind of things.
Yeah, you're reminding me early on in the days, like followed Roman Lapot's blog, Massive Voodoo. So he was teaching weekend courses all the way back then. This is in I don't know, 2010 or so. But it made me want to bring more people together, and so I started organizing these paint jam weekends where I get myself, 3 or 4 other friends over, and we'd paint the same model. And that was interesting just to see how, like you're saying, everyone has the same kind of information for their approach, but one person might choose blue, one person likes yellow. Just the way you see someone interpret how the light is falling across something versus the way that you did it. Very useful for improving. You can pass it right around and kind of adjust on the fly.
Yeah, that's interesting. That sounds like a really neat idea. Is you have some people over and all have the exact same model, starting with nothing. That way, you don't get any preconceived ideas. And maybe the person that picks the model month to month or quarter to quarter or whatever is the only person that knows what model is coming, right? And then you can see how people approach it. That's a really neat idea.
Yeah, we did different ways. Another way, everyone could suggest a model and you all vote on it. Or you pick a theme. Like for there's a VinciCon jam where we were all gonna paint female warriors, but we all suggested which one and made our choices. Yeah. Many ways to spin that one, but I love a concentrated effort, getting together over a weekend and just locking down.
I think I saw that. You did a YouTube video on that at VinciCon. You guys all painted the same thing, right? I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I have in the past, and we'll do different. Sometimes we're all working on a competition piece or something, but
Ed, did you forget? We did the Gerber Baggins competition.
That's right. We did the Gerber Baggins competition. That's right. At Adepticon.
Gerber Baggins?
Yeah, we did a really ugly
for the Twinkie.
Yeah, we did a really ugly model. I don't know. Here it is.
I stayed up for 34 hours because of that model.
So here's 2 of the Gerber Baggins examples. This was Black Skulls, which was undead Gerber Baggins, and we called it Gerber Baggins because it looks like Bilbo with a Gerber baby face. And then we have.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, hold on. I gotta go onto the stream. I'm just hanging on Discord.
You might have to.
Won that contest.
You might have to mute it, or else it'll feedback.
Muting now. Come on, hurry up. Yeah. Okay, I'm stuck in an ad.
Uh-oh. Darn. Twitch strikes again.
Minimized over to the side. Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
12 seconds and I'm in. 12 seconds and I'm back to full screen. All right. Now I can see. Oh wow, that's a fun mod.
It was a really simple model, and Black Skull has always got his kind of macabre way of painting things, and mine was more straightforward. But you grab and it doesn't have to be a fancy model. In fact, I think it might be simpler to have a simpler model. That way, you actually get it done. And not have to toil over it for 10 hours to get competition quality out of it. Something simple, get done.
I like the simplicity. Yeah, man. Give me a palette to work on. I don't want a model to just like. I feel like there is kind of this dividing line where you see a miniature and you're like, that's a really cool sculpture, and painting it looks like a complete like crawl through a tube of glass. I want something that I can express myself on, not something that just demands I render the details. Like.
Runic is taken off. Thank you, Runic, for being here. Dinner time for the raccoon. Thank you, Runic, if you're still here. So yeah, that's that. And then getting involved in your local painting community. I know my particular area here, there's really not a huge painting community. I would say there's only 2 of us that are at a higher level of painting. Everybody else is just kind of tabletop, but even still going to your local hobby store and working with people, and something as simple as I saw a guy sitting at my local hobby store, and he was struggling to get paint off the brush. It just wasn't flowing. And so I taught him just something as simple as add a little bit of water to that Citadel paint, because that stuff is thick. And showed him that if it's not flowing off that easy, and he says, oh man, that's so, something so simple as just adding a little water to a thick paint, changed his entire outlook on painting. And that's just, that's, how do you feel, when we all start miniature painting, I feel the improvement curve is pretty steep. Normally, you start out and then things improve pretty steadily. And then you kind of get to this plateau. And how have you worked? I mean, with your level of painting, do you still feel you've hit a plateau, or do you still have room for improvement? And how do you get past those plateaus?
Man, that's I do feel like there's always room for improvement. Like I want to get better. Seeing other people's work inspires me. There's never this like, I don't sit down to paint a miniature and I'm not like calm or confident or I'm not like, yeah, this is gonna be easy today. Like every time I have to try and think about what I'm doing, and God, I need to push this further. This isn't good enough. I don't know. It's not effortless. I don't know. I think it takes something every time. It doesn't just flow out of me. I don't know.
I think that's a great comment, because I feel when people get to your painting level, or Romans or Sergio Calvo's or Ben Comets, I feel like, gosh, those guys probably don't even have to try to paint. It just rolls out of their mind. Oh, that's going to be that color, and this is going to be this shadow, and this is going to be this, and this is going to be that. And I think that actually helps to hear that, it's never that easy.
Yeah, it's the enjoyable struggle every time, that like struggle of creation, and that's what kind of keeps me hungry for more. Funny how in love with a project you are as you're working on it, and then as soon as it's done, you're kind of over it. I don't know. I'm spending a week or two with this piece, and now it's done. It's ready to go out into the wild. So it doesn't. I don't know. We break up, and then I get involved with a new project to just obsess about it until I feel it's good enough, and then I let it go. But breaking plateaus, I don't know. I just want to throw this out there that I like to think of every piece as an experiment. It's a chance to do something a little different or get a little better. Even if I'm doing my 10th Blue Space Marine, I can do better edge highlights on that. Plateau, yeah, I can't. I'm trying to like think if I've ever felt like I hit like a stopping point, and it's just like I can't get it. I'm just gonna stay here. I don't. Maybe I would say the way that I encounter like something new that I want to figure out is kind of a plateau, because that stops me for a moment. Like, to try something new, you have to step down a little bit in your expectations. That's a weird answer. Yeah.
I found that you can avoid getting plateaus by having like goal-directed development. Like, I noticed I started to plateau on something, and I said, okay, I'm going to work on brush control because, my line's a little wavery. And after that, it's like, what is my other weak point? Okay, let's work on speed. As long as you can identify weaknesses within yourself and then work on them, you probably won't hit that plateau.
And that's very solid to like if you're watching this and you want to improve, simply look inside and ask yourself, what's my problem? The first thing that comes to mind, that's what you should be working on. That's your next goal. And yeah, maybe my non-metallic metal doesn't look good, but why is it bad? Is it not smooth enough for me? Then you move back to brush controller or something like that, or maybe you simplify. Some people will tackle an entire model in plate mail when you should just paint a barbarian with a sword to begin your non-metallic metal. But that's a little side tangent. That having that goal-oriented path and planning. Yeah, ask yourself what your problem is.
Maybe I should ask my wife what my problem is. I don't know if I want those answers. Oh, we're talking about painting. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll tell you what your problems are to 10 decimal places.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
In your underwear at like 8 p.m. or whatever, I don't know. Some task you're doing. Like, what's my problem? I don't know. You paint a picture in there. Just imagine the inner home. Starting on your underwear, etc.
Awesome. Freely, what do you haven't said a whole lot. What do you think about our conversations? What do you do to improve?
I agree with everything that's been said. Let's see, what do I do to improve? Definitely encourage experimentation and play. Yeah, it's where I find a lot of improvement. If I try to get uncomfortable, try new things, look at inspiration from all different types of sources. Like, I get a lot of inspiration from 2D art that I try to implement into my 3D art.
That's
like, what would that look like on a 3D surface? Like what I did with the rainbow knight armor, the iridescent armor. Like, that piece that I got inspired by was a 2D artwork, and I wanted to see what it would try to look like on a 3D surface. Yeah, so
Hmm.
encourage experimentation.
That's really interesting. Really, what you just said about 2D art. I can't say that when I'm looking for inspiration, I look at 2D art a whole lot,
Hmm.
and I probably should.
Yeah.
Even just for color combinations, it'd be a beautiful thing. Like, I just love this burnt orange tone I'm seeing here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love a burnt orange.
Yeah. Burnt orange with like a dark turquoise.
Hey, isn't
That's
that
my
what I'm?
favorite color combination.
Oh
Look-
my
look-
god, yes, I love that. It's you're taking like red, white, and blue, and then just turning the dial to the right or left one, and you're like, yeah, like turquoise or aquamarine, terracotta, burnt orange, and then you've got your like creamy black or something, or like like a gray ivory for your neutral. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
love that combo.
All right, let me reach out here to chat. Oops, I'm glad this is a Reaper miniature. It'll last through anything. Chat. Let's start getting some questions going. We still got a little over a half hour left. And what questions do you have for Sam and or the council? And let's get some questions going. I think we've had great conversation so far, and
What's my problem?
certainly
I
giving
have
me
a
a lot.
question for Sam.
Yeah.
Hey Sam, if you had to rate your fellow VinciCon goers in the way that 40k orcs are, who would be the war boss, the knob, the boy, and the grot out of Vince, Uncle Adam, Tin John, and Miniac?
Oh man. Somebody gets grotted, huh? Okay.
Somebody's getting grotted.
I'm a knob. I'm a total knob. I think I'm the biggest and dumbest one. So, God, and I can only pick one. So all right. John's the boy. He's a good boy. Okay. I guess Scott's the grot because he's got a silly laugh.
Okay.
And now Vince and Adam. Okay. Adam Warboss, Vince, MacBoy.
I can see that. That's funny. Wow.
Thank you, sir.
Good one, dude. Thanks.
Still no questions coming out of the gallery here. Come on, guys. I know you got questions out there.
We
know
got a
you got
Gravenly
questions.
Studio in chat. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, Gravenly is here. Welcome in. So I know a lot of miniature painters gets hung up on tools for improving. And in fact, yesterday's stream, we had somebody say, "Do I really need a professional wet palette?" And I said, "Hell no, you don't. You don't. I used a homemade one for 2 years before I said, oh, okay, I've got some extra money to spend here. I'll go and get a nice one, that seals really good and all that kind of stuff." So what do you feel about what do you have to say about those people who think that, tools is there a tool that you think everybody has and should get or to improve, or is the tools thing just totally, tools aren't important?
I think you said it already. The wet palette is definitely the tool. If you're not using one, that changed my life. Moving to a wet palette, and it's such a beautiful thing because you can make one yourself out of Tupperware, like you were saying. I made one out of an old colored pencil case for years. It's this slim little rectangle. Other than that, I do love a good weird tool that doesn't come from the miniature world, but as far as necessities, yeah, the wet palette. I would encourage everybody to get an airbrush. If I've got a moment to just make put it something in the suggestion box, an Iwata Neo is like $70, but maybe you can find one on sale. And compressors come around the same price. Like, it's such a useful tool. It's not that intimidating. Yeah, get an airbrush and pause your Warhammer spending for one pay period.
Yeah. Do you use a airbrush as part of your painting process, or do you just mostly use it for priming and zenithal and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it really varies on the project. Like a monochromatic figure, like a Space Marine or something, the airbrush is going to be your friend for that. Lately, I'm going to do it on this dragon when the time comes. I've been enjoying spraying a unifying shadow onto things. I'll dilute down a color that kind of harmonizes with everything, and it's so satisfying to shade like 4 different tones at once with kind of an olive brown. Specifically, I'll use magnolia brown from the War Paints Air. That one just has creates a nice mud shadow, harmonizes with most things because of its green nature. Yeah, I've been loving using it as kind of the like 3rd or 4th step in the process.
Okay, great.
We have a question in from chat from Brutal Burrito. Best tips for improving brush control. Any specific exercises you did to improve?
To improve brush control, yeah, I would suggest trying to paint something on a 2-dimensional surface. Maybe if, like, you could take a flat piece of plastic, you could take a piece of watercolor paper. If you're going to, just make it damp first. But learning how the paint and the brush behaves on just a flat space, very valuable. Like that illustrative talent, we can call it, will carry over into your miniature painting endeavors. Yeah, it is very, very helpful to know what the brush does on a 2-dimensional surface. You can use a larger brush too. That'll give you a little more control to kind of get the feeling and the ease, and then it scales. You can move down to a smaller brush. It's all just the same, but on the smaller brush, things dry out on you a little faster. It's a little more difficult just because of the speed involved.
Cool Studio says, do you think across all your respective bodies of work there is a through line? For example, I tend towards doing OSL and dark scene.
Not a lot of elves. I can say it's hard because I've been painting for like I forgot how long. So I've gone through like so many phases. I've noticed the things that I don't do at this point. I notice I don't gravitate towards painting a lot of elves for no good reason, really. They're very fun and beautiful. It's just not on my radar. I guess a through line, I'm more likely to choose something ugly. I like big, ugly, disgusting monsters because I am one. But I'm drawn to trolls and orcs and chaotic beasts of that nature. Love stepping outside of that.
Little self-reflection, self-portrait. Is that what you're saying? Helgrad has a good question. Is there a specific color that you have issues getting onto a miniature, and how do you overcome it? I know a lot of people talk about yellow when it comes to that.
Yeah, it seems yellow just across all lines. Each color is created from different items in the recipe. So you're going to find this similar weakness, like the color red is gritty across everything. tattoo ink, it's the hardest for your skin to accept. So yellow is thin. This is just kind of a fact about yellow. I love yellow. My second favorite color. And I find myself working more, I am just instinctively choosing like ochre tones, slightly off yellows. And I'll get up to a pure yellow, like a demonic yellow. I'll look on screen just to give an example, but a nice pure yellow of the rainbow. But I think what's happening is that like I'm mixing a terracotta in to shade that a more controllable color. So the colors that I'm mixing in to create my shades for yellow are adding the control to it. So yeah, just my tendency towards like to build yellows with like terracotta and ochre tones makes it more controllable. And then when it does get to that tedious final, portion of that thin yellow, well, it's pretty small, so it's easy. Yeah, those off tones really help to assist building yellow, and that's I think that's the one that carries the most difficulty. But I'm not gonna let a color scare me or stop me from having a good time. Just a bottle of paint can't hurt me anymore.
Yeah, the terracotta under the yellow has always been a. Or isn't there something? Didn't Goobertown Hobbies do something about pink under yellow? Or no, was it pink under yellow?
Like a magenta, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
That's
found the
Mr.
right
P,
combo,
right?
but if you do like a right color of kind of a reddened magenta, hit it with yellow, that filtering of yellow over the magenta creates that terracotta kind of tone. I've seen it done with an airbrush, and I think Brent was doing it with a brush.
ROS Workshop says same goes for white. I start with gray and build up to white. Yeah, white becomes the highlight, not the base color.
Yeah, like white is the maximum.
Yeah.
What's brighter than white?
Oh.
Nothing. Yeah. Same with black. So like, yeah, if you're representing the color white or even black, you never use the maximum except for the the deepest or the brightest portions. It's a gray, it's an ivory, it's an off color. And in that way, the color white becomes very, very fun because now I can kind of choose anything to assist the rest of my paint job if we're talking about off tones and just ending with a final white.
Yeah, that was the thing I learned about red too. Red is your highlight color.
Mm-hmm.
You can get away with
Build
a
up-
little bit of orange in it, but not, until it starts to look orange.
Right, but add white, you got pink. So,
Yeah, you gotta try flesh tone to highlight your red. Like I found myself, I'm like going red, start mixing a little orange, but not too much. It doesn't become pure orange. I've got a red orange mixture. I start throwing a little white in. I'm making a salmon tone. It's a flesh tone.
mhm.
So yeah, consider using a skin tone on your red combos.
I found though that it's better to start working from a purple or a brown and then work up to the reds, and you get nice colors that way.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and then once you start to learn some of those combinations, then it starts to kind of be a go-to kind of thing. That's kind of like where I worry about those doing the same things over and over again, not kind of losing some of the a lot of my models look the same now.
And there is something to like painting like I'm gonna paint this targeter on this gun yellow. I might want to consider painting it white first instead of just going in with straight yellow or any other color. Having a foundational base coat of just a single layer you want to work efficiently, right? Time is the one thing that you can't get back.
Ravenly Studio says pink before yellow is nice. It adds some warmth to the yellow and just seems to help it cover better.
Yeah, he was doing that on some Space Wolves. Mighty fine.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's what he just said. Doing it with my Space Wolf shoulder pads.
Yeah, buddy, I got my Space Wolves. Yeah, stack of sprues. Like to make a large diorama in the last months of the year.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Otis, Otis is down. He's crazy tonight. Just wants treat after treat. All right. Trying to upstage us all with his noises. That's really great. So it's like we talked about airbrushes, we talked about, wet palette. Man, the first miniatures I painted, I never knew what a wet palette was. And I was trying to just use a piece of paper as my palette, and my paints were drying out, and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And then I was going to the sink to clean out my brushes between every color. And I'm like, wait a second, there's got to be a better way to do this. And then YouTube certainly helps with that. So having a wet palette certainly was number one on my list as well. And then I think I started out with some pretty bad brushes from Amazon, Chinese knockoff brushes, and I was struggling like crazy. And I said, well, either I'm going to try to get a better brush here and see if it goes any better than it's going, and it did. But there are some people out there who are just fine with the cheap brushes. So, but to me, I had to upgrade my brush to a reasonable brush. I think I got some Rosemary and Co. brushes, and those it really helped a lot to have a higher quality brush in my mind. But I know everybody doesn't agree with that. Heck, I know some people who use apple barrel paints and they have no problems with it. And I'm like, okay,
Man, follow your bliss. If people are happy that way, I'm happy for them.
yeah.
Man,
yeah,
I could say another like very valuable tool if we're talking about the fundamentals. A nice lamp. And for too long, I was like, I can see this. And then yeah, you sit down under a lamp and if we're talking like wet palette level, like investing in a nice lamp.
That's a really good point. There are different colors of lamps as well, and when I first started painting, I was using just an old desk lamp I had around, and it had a very yellow tinge to it. It wasn't an LED 5000K light. And I was struggling with color, and I'm trying to figure out, why am I struggling with color? Because these things don't, when I take this out of my light, it doesn't look anything like it does under the light. So yeah, getting a decent light. You don't have to. I mean, Amazon has got lights that have the right color that are cheap, but a nice hobby light is certainly nice as well.
Man, if you want to experience true pain in life, if you really want to feel alive, take your model outside and look at it in the raw sunlight. It's incredibly humbling. It just like washes out all your paints. Like you see how truly awful you really are when you take it out into the raw daylight. I remember at Adepticon they used to have Rogue Demon before Crystal Brush, and now blah blah became what it was. But they had the Rogue Demon, and cut off the tail of winning my first Golden Demon. I went to Adepticon early that next year in like 2010 and entered, and I didn't place. And one of the things I had entered was this unit of Space Marines. And the judge, like, I'm picking my stuff up and he's like, oh man, best power armor in the competition. I was like, but why did it win anything? And I'm thinking, and then I don't know, I was traveling. These are all some of my gaming models. I'm traveling, and I like looked over at them in my car seat, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm like driving and looking at my models in the raw sunlight, man. It was brutal. It was very humbling. It looks so nice under lamps.
Yeah. Yeah, and painting under a bright light can also you think something. I have a darker area over to my left here, and I'm constantly taking my model out of my bright light, and putting it over here, going, does that look good? And then realizing I need to push my highlights, and because I can't see certain things or and pulling my model out and looking at it over in a little bit darker place it helps me as well. The bright light can lie sometimes too. I've got one more question is, do you do anything with, there's always something that holds me back from saying a model is done, especially at a competition level. And that is the zoom of death, where you take a picture of your model and you zoom in on it and you realize how bad some of your blends are and some. Now, do you use that? Do you do that? Do you use it to your advantage? Or I talked to Marco about this subject, and he said, no, just to your, look at it to your eye and don't worry about the zoom of death. What do you feel about that?
And yeah, zooming in. So I think I've myself in this where I've taken maybe a work in progress picture or what I thought was a final photo. And it's strange how just taking a look through that second set of eyes being a camera lens, you'll notice flaws. Zooming in, I haven't gone to that sub-level of hell, but I would love to someday. That's a good idea.
So you don't do that? You don't do the zoom of death on your competition pieces, or use a heavy magnifying glass or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't have any sexy goggles or anything like that.
Huh? Yeah. See, yeah, you go right along with what Marco said about it. Yet, it's like I know when I look at my pieces for a competition, one of the last steps I do is I take out my magnifying glasses and start looking at all the blends and everything, just trying to make sure it's all good, because I'm afraid that a judge or somebody else is going to look at it and notice those things. But if you can't see it with the naked eye, is it really worth it?
I mean, I think just do your thing. Like it's not a bad idea. And yeah, whatever, like, you don't want to put something forth to be judged and having the thought like, maybe they won't notice. If you see something that you think is a potential weak spot, like, I would go in and illuminate that.
Okay. Point.
So yeah, not a bad method. Like, maybe I'll try that.
I have a question for everyone in the council, and it's kind of inspired by Sam's YouTube videos. Shout out to Sam's YouTube. Sam, when he does his introduction, he does it in the cadence of the sorcerer from Conan, who does the introduction to the movies. So my question to the Council of Mini Painters: is there any fictional property that you guys take inspiration from on a regular basis?
I mean, 40K for sure. That's a good fictional property. Yeah, I love doing that. The fatalistic narration to start things off, and doing that voice is a lot of fun.
I can't think of anything
Really good question.
that I turn to. I mean,
Yeah, like a consistent inspiration. Yeah.
I like to look at the Brahm style painting, but I don't think I've ever considered myself painting anything or trying to paint anything in that style or color scheme. Yeah, that's a That's a tough one. Yeah, Dig Batty says I pull from everywhere. It depends on the piece.
Right, and that's kind of the fun, like, adventure part of it. Like, I'm putting myself into a slightly different mindset for each piece. Like, maybe I'm painting a Speed Racer, so I'll watch Speed Racer, get inspired.
Well, I know, like, if Black Skull will hear, I would say, he turns to comic artwork a lot because that's his style. So that's certainly something he can hang his hat on to say, I turn to these type more comic inspiration, which can be very different from traditional art for sure. Colors can be much different as well. Okay, all right. Well, we got 15 minutes left, and we're going to use that time to go through our question of the day, or question of the month, or whatever it is. Not the day. So it is the month, and this one is, normally we do a goofy question, but we're going to do a would you rather question, and it's actually hobby related. So, and this is for everybody, and we'll let Sam answer first, and everybody in chat, you can chime in on this too. So the question is, would you rather spend 10 hours perfectly painting one detailed miniature for display, or paint 20 tabletop ready minis in the same time for gameplay?
I want to do the tabletop models right now. I got a Sunrot recently, and I keep telling myself, I'm like, just use your Zombicide models. You already have over 100 models painted. But I want to make these, like, globby, sad survivor characters and random monsters with dirt attached. I would love to make a little batch of Rimdark tabletop models right now.
Do you play a lot of games with the models that you paint, or do you paint more?
I definitely paint more, but I try to play. It's a bit of a small dead zone is the word. I guess I'll just say dead zone. It's a bit of a dead zone. It's not completely. I get games in with Gravenly and with Uncle Adam. So I don't really get to expand on a lot of games because you don't have a good, like, depth of opponents. But I like to know what's going on. Like, I've been checking out news on the new Horus Heresy edition. I'm never gonna play that. I just like games. I like the way they function. Yeah, I like reading them. They're kind of wells of inspiration for me. Homicide, though, hell yeah. The amount of money I spent on that to the entertainment I've received, like, the return on investment is tenfold at least.
Great. We got one more question that just popped in before we continue with our question of the day. Dig says he uses Conan as his inspiration, which is all those nice warm colors in the Conan universe, right? Elgrad says, do you ever paint sunlight into your miniatures, and how do you accomplish it?
I haven't. I have not done a straight up beam of sunlight or, silhouette of a window being cast onto a model. I haven't gone that far yet, but I have used warmer tones, leading in the lit direction. How I would accomplish that, everything is going to be filtered through yellow light, so try adding yellow to everything. I've got, blue tunic and brown hair. I'll throw yellow into those two colors and see what happens. Things might get a little weird. I might make some colors I don't want to see, but that's how I'll start figuring it out. Maybe what's missing is a little bit of orange or something. But I find a picture and start pulling colors from that.
That's what I did with this piece here. I glazed a warm yellow over this side of the model to create sunlight coming down from this direction, and then a heavy shadow on this side. So that's glazing a warm yellow. I think I used Pro Acryl warm yellow to do that. Just made it really thin and glazed it over.
Yeah, so to pull that, like, silhouette of like a grid of a window cast onto something, now that's But like, yeah, very hard cut torchlight. That would be fun.
Okay, so who's next to answer our question of the day here? Painter Legit,
I
You
would
like-
rather paint the 20 miniatures in 10 hours than one miniature for 10 hours to a perfect standard. I don't paint very well high-end stuff. I'm pretty good at tabletop standard, and I paint in the good enough style, right? So my stuff is good enough to look at from 2 feet away. I've tried to paint high-end stuff, and it just sucks the joy out of the hobby for me, so I try and stay away from it.
it's you have to find out what you like to do, and I agree. It's like you can if it's sucking the joy out of it, then you got to find something that keeps you motivated, keeps you moving. All right, Freely, what do you think? I think I know your answer.
One mini in 10 hours. Unfortunately, that is a low amount of time for my style of painting. Just because I am a devil for the details, so I like to spend a lot of time on one mini.
Yeah, we should replace the 10 hours with a little infinity mark. Because we we just abandon, they're never finished, just abandoned, right? We always say that over and over. Okay, excellent.
My answer is going to be different tomorrow. It, like I said, it depends when, like, day or maybe time of day when you ask me that question. Like, I'm in the middle of painting a bunch of single miniatures. Big surprise, I'd love to do some tabletop stuff right now and just give less of a shit,
Well, yeah, we talked about that early before we started stream, is that having those palette cleansers, to do some desktop minis or a pokey tool or anything to just kind of get something done, because sometimes getting something done helps with your inspiration on your next piece too. It's a mind thing.
The greatest feeling in my life is a sense of accomplishment. And you need those small pieces to keep you going. That's your bread and butter, gas in the tank, painting a Trench Crusade figure while you're in the middle of this 30 to 50 hour project or whatever. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Right now I'm painting a little chibi onion knight from Dark Souls, and just a little guy, and that's like my palette cleanser after doing the big 75 millimeter insane freehand piece. So it's good to have little palette
You
cleanser.
can hear the years of this dreadful piece.
This dreadful piece that I love and hate.
I love that. That's why I say it's like going out on an adventure with a piece. Like we're talking about it, true improvement comes from consistency and being able to weather the storm. But come on, you had fun the whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
Blades, what do you think? I'm gonna try to, I'd like to think I know what Blades is gonna answer, but I'm the least certain about Blades. I know she doesn't play a lot of games, but
Yeah.
but I don't know.
We should make a bet.
Okay, what do you think?
Let's gamble.
So it's 1 mini in 10 hours or 20 minis in, what was the rest of that?
In the same amount of time.
In 10 hours, okay. Oh boy. I'd probably go for the 1 mini in 10 hours.
Okay.
Just because of how slow a painter I am, and it would take me at least 10 hours to at least get the base coat on. So there's no way I could do 20 in 10 hours. Unless they're very big and have zero detail on them.
All right. Yeah,
So,
I think that's a fair
that's my
answer. Okay.
Is that the one you were thinking of?
Yeah, I would have guessed that. Well, but maybe for a different reason though, because I know you don't play a lot of games. So
Right.
I think I was thinking you'd spend more time on one than a bunch of time on mini. So okay. All right,
Yes,
Quandam.
There is also that.
Okay. Yep. Quandam, you want to jump in here? I think your
I
answer
think
could go
anybody
either
who's
way
seen
too.
me, I think anybody who's seen me paint knows that I go towards the first option, 1 mini in 10 hours. That's just because I grab a mini and I paint it to the best of my ability. Now, that's how I am. What I want is 10 minis in 10 hours. And that's because I got games to play. I got a backlog of a lot of relatively inexpensive minis that have not the greatest detail. I'd like to get them done.
Yeah, I hear you. Dig says I'll take the 20 minis. Ghoul Studios says 1 mini. ROS Workshop says I would love to paint several minis in 10 hours. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with gameplay. I have a lot of games that I keep telling myself I think I'll have friends someday to play them with. And I'd love to just have all kinds of minis ready to go for a lot of games, but I still go towards 1 mini in 10 hours all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I lean to, but I still have games I want.
I just wanted to add, not every mini is worth 10 hours.
That's true.
Hey, yeah, right. Good point.
Yeah.
I'd like to see everyone's level of satisfaction as well. It's funny, like tabletop is a relative term. You know, some people are like, "What? You think that's not good enough?" You know, like some people underestimate themselves. I'm always curious to see what everyone's definition of tabletop is.
But as a miniature painter, do you feel you can't play a game until it's painted? Because I know I feel that way.
Yeah. I definitely like that has changed because I know it's going to be painted at this point. So I'm okay fielding a half painted army because next time you see it, I'm gonna have another unit done.
Okay.
There's something to growing and testing. But yeah, I do like to show up like Combat Patrol, for example. That's a good way to jump in, and yeah, I'm painting that entire box before I play a game.
Great. And I think that's why skirmish games are becoming more popular, because you you can paint a lot less minis and still get an army out on the table, or get something on the table to play with. So
yeah, there you go. 10 hours per mini, and you can get it tabled.
That's kind of how I felt with my Gloomspite Gits when I painted them. You know, that I was spending way too much time on every model. So, but yeah, okay. Excellent.
Before we end, Sam, is there anything that you want to plug?
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I've got those classes coming up. I'll be teaching in Canada in September, and then a class down in Ohio as well that same month. I want to take this other places. I have a book out in the Art of series. You can find it on Game Envy. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Patreon. Those are Sam Lenz artwork. I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram as well.
Yeah. I didn't know you had an Art of book out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, man. I should really say more about that.
Yeah. I can vouch for it. It's good. It's a good read. I recently finished it. Like, yeah, get it.
Yeah, I've been it's been on my list of things to do to like just make a reel saying, hey, my book is done, it's ready, but I can't do it. I don't know. I'm good at doing things and not good at like going back and saying, remember this thing? Like, I just want to work and keep like making stuff. I need a promotionalist or something.
Yeah, the promoting of it all is hard.
I struggle with that too.
For me, the promotion is a new thing. It's always like, yeah, here I am again with like a new thing. You know, like the looking back at something. It's weird.
All right. Well, there's a link right there. It's also pinned at the top of stream to check out Sam's classes. Are you doing any? You doing Dragonfall, or let's see, what are the other Wisconsin ones? I think Dragonfall might be the only Wisconsin one I'm aware of coming up, but
I might be able to, yeah, if that's at the end of October, because yeah, as far as Wisconsin,
Beginning of
I might be able
October.
to make it down this year, but I'll be at Nova Open, Adepticon, and Las Vegas Open for the next expected number of years. So you can always. So Nova is coming up at the end of August. It's going to be a blast.
And of course, Uncle Adam's little thing up there. You did some teaching at that too, right? Uncle Adam's
Yeah.
con? Forget what the name of it
Tabletop
was.
Maintenance Expo
Yeah.
with TMX, Oshkosh, yeah, some classes. Vince and also Gravenly Studios did. And Falling Freely was there as a guest of honor.
Nice. All right. Wow. What another great council. Thank you so much, Sam, for joining us here and giving us our inspiration to keep our inspiration and our want to continue to improve. And I think that's something that we all have to keep telling ourselves over and over and over again. You can never hear it too many times to all the tips that we get from all these people, and I think what you've said here is definitely a lot of it hit not only enforced things that we've heard, but make you think about things again. That's what we need to do. Always need to keep learning, and that's why we started this little council, to keep learning from the great people out there who are doing great work. So, and you're certainly one of those people, and we appreciate that. And another of course great painter from Wisconsin too. And the Brewers did win their game tonight, so swept the Dodgers twice. So I'm happy about that.
All right. Go Brewers!
Yeah, there we go. That's Wisconsin people who have something to cheer about. So, all right, great.
Get your celebratory teas out.
Yeah, there you go. So, any closing words, Sam?
No, man. Just thanks for having me. It's always nice to talk miniatures with buddies, and I just stay engaged with it. I hope that if you've watched this, you go out and paint. Hang up the phone on all that negative shit and just paint some models.
Stop doom scrolling, right? Stop doom scrolling on social media.
I have to quit. I just listen to music now.
Yeah,
that's it.
I know a lot of people who get distracted by doom scrolling, and it's like, and I do too. And it's like, if I just spend that time painting instead of doom scrolling, I would get more done. And
it's made to be a trap. It's made for that. But that's for self. Like I could have read a chapter in a book with that time. I could have made a better, more healthy food for myself. That's what I tell. That's just personal advice, but yeah.
There you go. All right.
Audiobooks and painting go together very well.
Oh God, yeah. Hell yeah.
All right.
Except for in his black tongue. Don't bother with that one.
Yeah. Well, once again, thank you, Sam. Go out and check Sam's classes at the link pinned above. And I'm going to personally check out the Art of. I got to get that and start collecting those books. I think Sam's is going to be the first one I collect. And I didn't even know it was there. So thank you for saying that, because I'm going to go check it out.
So many good ones too, man.
All right. Excellent. All righty, everybody. We're going to break over to the other stream. Thank you, Council of Miniature Painters. You guys are awesome. We have in our council today, we had Painterly Git, Falling Freely, Quantum Reveries, Blades. Thank you to everybody in chat with all your questions and everything. And once again, thank you, Sam Lenz. I don't have my cheers sound effect working, unfortunately. So, all right. Thank you all. Cheers. And keep painting, like Sam said. All right. Take care, everyone. We're going to go jump over to our regular stream. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Sam, thank you so much for coming.